Marcus Ossiann. I'm based in Stockholm, in Sweden. I'm a sales engineer for Entrust, or I started off on Encipher. So my base is in the HSMs. So I hope you guys are here for the HSMs because those are important. Okay. I have been in the business for 30 years now, I think, beginning in 90s. And before that, I told, if anybody of you was here last year, I actually said that I was on the other side because I needed free games. So I'm not there on the, now I'm the right side, or so you can say, yeah, we could say that because that would be about perfect. All right. I will present the company Entrust. We have a lot of different products in our portfolio. We have PKIs, we have identity products, we have the essentials and then the identity, and then we have the identity as a service and the PKI as a service. Both of the service products is perfect for keeping you not, so you don't need to have all the knowledge and the knowledge about how to operate the PKI itself infrastructure-wise, but because that's usually, I mean, installing is the biggest part of most of the problem, and you only do it once, and then you need to operate it in certain ways. But yeah, PKI. And we have card manufacturing. We provide data card is the other part of Entrust, so we are producing a lot of payment cards, not payment cards, and identity cards and passports. So we have a lot of printed security as well. I will not talk about that. So all of those three segments we actually address, but what this part will mostly be about is strong identities. Secure payments, yes, we can do that as well because, again, that's a part of it. And trusted infrastructure. We talk about PKIs and stuff like that. With strong identities, or with identities in general, is one of the pillars of that temple, I would say, and the identity pillar is crucial because if you don't have the identity in a zero trust world, you will have a very big problem to actually identify what you actually let go into your network and go out for it. And everything else in the network should be untrusted, because if you don't know what the use for it or why it is there, then it's probably not for good. So that will be another problem in that situation. And the devices itself, yes, we trust them. Why do we trust devices in general? No, because they are devices. But that's the wrong approach. You need to turn it over and think. The device is compromised before. And the products, the service side is compromised as well. And how do we mitigate any further breaches or future breaches? That you only can do one way, is actually making everything more secure, or you tighten down the whole structure. And in all of those lines, or I mean, ways to actually manage it, you actually need to be pretty sure that the traffic from the HTTP server to the other one is actually that. And nowadays, don't forget of it, we will always go for HTTP for all the type of services. Otherwise, your browser would start to tell you a lot of saying this is not a secure site and so on. You get a lot of warning. And if we roll back the tape for about 5 or 10 years, this would never happen because the browser would always let you do anything in it. So again, never trust, always verify. Assume breach, verify explicitly. So you absolutely know that product or that user has authorization to actually use that particular part of it. To be able to authorize something, you need to authenticate. So that's one of our points of it. So in the user's way, you need to be able to actually identify them, what type of behavior and stuff like that, and you need to manage the privileged access. If you look back, it was like everybody wanted to have admin rights on their computer, right? That computer, I can't even actually put in that actually failed my speech last week because I couldn't even put in a USB drive to it and copy it, and then I ended up with this deck that I'm gonna share with you after this session. And I mean, 39 slides I had a quarter to talk about. That impaired me as a user. So yeah, is Zero Trust that good in that case? Yes. But the thing is, you need to trust people. Otherwise, we can't do business at all. So what is another core driver in the Zero Trust space is business. So we need to be more focused on the business and what the business needs to be more secure. Because if the business prioritizes something, then you can assume they're going to pay for the problems with it. The other pillars, you saw there was 5 pillars. We talk about devices. You have privileged workstations, config management, antivirus, authentication, authorization, hygiene, and unmanaged. And again, we need to make it. We can't say, oh, that machine does something. You need to know what to do. You need to do documentation about it. And still, again, to be able to use it, somehow you need the identity for it. So machines in general. And then we talk about macro segmentation in the Zero Trust framework as well, because macro and micro makes it much more easier. It's not a full-blown infrastructure to keep that your data flows through or stuff like that. It actually, this part is, you have Alice and you have Bob going there. They will not, Alice will be able to actually access it. Bob will not do that because it's a threat, but he will not even exist in this space because you have full control of it. And the other part is you must be always monitoring, remediate, repurpose, re-evaluate, and keep doing it until you make it less breachable. And during this cycle that Zero Trust implies, during the cycle when you actually monitor and remediate your network and devices and stuff, you will, in the end up with a more secure environment. Because that before we talked for 2.5 years, a lot of attack surface. Now we talk protect surface instead. Because what you know is the system, what it goes from it, what it goes to. As long as you know that, what you need to use, you don't have any unspecified ports, you have tagged information throughout your system, so you can actually put more intelligent products into that system. What Entrust can do in the Zero Trust strategy space is not, that's a word I can't even say really. Strategy, because I speak Swedish normally. You guys mostly speak Hungarian, so we have the same problem most likely. This is my second language. But what we can do, we can underpin it with HSMs. Because as soon as you actually put one key in the system, you can't really store that key anywhere more than in the HSM. The other part of that problem is, because if you don't do that, you have in the software. And a key store software, you can try to actually breach that quite easily after a while, because you most likely have changed it in the key store. You know what I mean when I say change it? Java key stores always have changed it as default password. So, of course, when you think about that, you realize, okay, I store private keys in that file and particular file. And the other part is you can lift a file from that system. That's stuff that HSM prevent. Otherwise, they wouldn't be there. And HSM is a module that you can use for multiple reasons. And for instance, our HSMs do have 158, I think, now, counting, integration, and you can reach out to me. I can send you most likely a list of them. And my card is on the desk outside. Other parts of what we do is key management. We have released a product called Key Control 10, and it actually will be even more bigger and actually be bigger part of our suite of key management tools. The big difference to other key management tools is basically documentation, because you're going to have a intelligent way to actually document. It's going to remind you when you have created a key in the system. It will remind you to fill out the form and actually tell you what key and who and when and so on. So you actually keep track of it. That's one module of it. The other one is you get our key management system can breached, I would say, but it can you can be on different places geographically, so you can actually, but still the keys will be on the same place. That's another one. Key agnostic life cycle management. What I mean about that, everybody knows about certificates when they die, or because you keep them track, you most likely keep track on them in an Excel document with dates and names, but that's not automatically done. In in our key management, you will be able to actually have the information regarding certificates, dates, and everything when you need to renew them. Entrust has and will be one of the first public CAs. So if you have any needs of public certificates, of code signing and stuff like that, reach out to us. We can actually fix you up with some. I will not talk about them because they're so cheap, so I can't talk about that so much. That's no, they are not that expensive, and it takes more time to actually make it done. But we have it, and you can actually buy them from us. On-prem PKIs, yes, we have still the security manager, the former Entrust PKI and stuff, and that one is still something we are on version 10.1 right now. Identities, we have, certificates. If you need to have your own CA and that part, we have it in two forms, on-prem, of course. And the other part is PKI as a service, and they're quite easy to actually scale up. And the PKI as a service is like, it takes a week, more or less, directly to get it up and working. And we have managed PKI as well, and we can connect with your own PKIs together to it, so it doesn't necessarily need you to actually get more data center footprint anymore. PKI, blah, blah, blah. And then MFA solutions. And I'm going to touch the essential slightly in the end of this presentation. We have the PKI integrates with, we actually integrate with Microsoft CA as well, and we are available in the marketplace. That was that. So last Thursday, we released Shield 5, the latest model of our fleet of HSMs. That one has one particular feature that most likely you would think everybody should have. We have 5 separate HSMs within it, and it's ready for multi-tenancy. It's not completed yet, but it's ready. So when you actually buy the latest one, you're going to have 5 separate isolated HSMs within it, but you can actually only use one at the moment, but it's ready. It's like 14K ready on the TV. But it will be done because we are still doing the tooling and stuff in-house, so the R&D is working on it. This is the next type of generation, because what it actually does, you're going to reduce in the data center. Instead of have 5 separate HSLs, now you will be able to actually compromise the one U box and put that in the center, to the data center. And that's good. That's great, actually. Less problems. And as you can see behind me, it has a lot of feature. And in June, this will be FIPS 140-3, most likely. Still, the timeline only shifts, and we had hoped we got it already, but it's not in our hands to actually make that happen. This is the evaluation center for NIST that actually is taking time. And this one you get in two factors. You have the PCI one and you have the net-based. And the net-based you can scale up if you have extremely much. So if you run it in the highest performance and the maximum capacity, you can add another one to the same estate and then scale it up without really no more sort of, you don't need to add much more attention to it. It's quite an easy task, I would say. That said, about that, performance, as I said, is faster for asymmetric algorithms. So most likely when you actually work with signing and stuff like that, you would like that more performance, because in our more digital world, we tend to have that. We want that. And it's still available in three different versions: high, mid, and base. So the base is the smallest one, but the thing is, it's the same hardware, so you don't need to be afraid that you're actually buying the smallest one and actually end up with a more requires, and then need to actually take it out and send it back or send it to and buy a new one. No, it's the same box. So we got you covered, so to speak. More. Yeah, that I said. So I jumped that. The main features is basically a faster processor on it. And the new firmware is multi-layered, and we actually skipped our impasse, but that doesn't matter for most of the people. But we have using SSH as a communication between the security world and the client and the HSM nowadays. And as we said before, we are seeking the highest certification, and that's level is FIPS 104-3 nowadays. And when we talk about the last point, we talk about more or less post-quantum. What is post-quantum in our world? Yeah, that's the next problem. Or you see, because if we can break those algorithms we have today, you will actually end up in a situation that the thing you encrypted here and now, in 100 years it might be able to actually unencrypt it because it's broken. And something you encrypted 10 years ago, don't forget about that. That's still something you need to take care about for the future. Because we are basically a time traveler when we talk about cryptography. And use cases, PKI, critical infrastructure, IoT, and so on. Actually, all places that you actually, or all places you will have identity, you will have use for HSM. Because identities is based on cryptography, and the cryptography is always based on some type of keys. And those keys are usually in identity, asymmetric keys, and the private keys. And how many of you guys have blockchain stuff? Any bitcoins? No bitcoins in this room? Okay, I understand. I thought this was Hungary. Everybody have bitcoins, I know that, for sure. And that thing, because you created the private key and actually use that, and the public key to actually trade the keys. So basically, to reset the blockchain for your assets, you need to have a private key. And think about it, you still need to protect your private key. And that's still part of it. And then this generation have 5G networks, that we have integrated the 3GPP EC algorithm into the firmware. So this one goes directly into, and you can utilize it within with the like cardless SIMs, for instance, create that and stuff like that. More summary, yeah, best practice, crypto-confidential for your organization, next generation HSMs, designed for crypto agility. And as I said, that's because we can change and add those algorithms into the firmware, and we will actually follow this, and we're committed to actually do that for you. That said, authentication part of the identity. Yeah, now we go back to a little high level. I mean, now we're in application level. So why is it so important? Yeah, to verify the identity of a user, process, device, allowing access to system. Yes, that's the beginning of it. And those are the methods we actually normally see in those situations for authentication. You have the password based, yeah, of course, but those. And this is what you can do with the essentials. It says SMS passcode. That's more my fault that it's actually said that, but it's called and identity essentials nowadays. So the name is changed, but this picture is not changed because I was not able to actually make that doing. So this is what we can do with it. So it's quite a nice picture. And we are unrivaled number of authentications on the market. So you can actually most likely, any of your stuff you actually need to have, we can support that for you. So that's a powerful picture, I would say. Platform diagram, yeah. And basically, this is what it is. Yeah, and that. So what you can protect is basically all of those with that type of information. So, and how it's going to be. And the most important part of Essential is adaptive. So you can actually start to put rules in that gets your users in the, what do you say? That they are actually going into the office in the morning and doing it the right, but if they actually access it middle of the night or from Kuala Lumpur, and this office in Budapest, and he was home yesterday, and yeah, then you start to get some fishy situations. So that's what you can do with Essential. And most important, this is not the product that sits on itself. It's actually extension and gives you more of your login solution, like in Microsoft, because it's Microsoft. So this is an extension for Microsoft. So that, I would say, is basically everything I want to say today. Thank you for your time, and I'm very happy to be here, and I want to thank you all for actually listening to me talking about this stuff. So, but a great book is Project Zero. If you don't have read it, that's an extremely good book that actually implements the whole project flow, and I would strongly recommend it if you want to know more about Zero Trust as a strategy. Thank you.